Rogers Anderson, Mayor here in Williamson County, and I have the great fortune today to do a little conversation over the coffee table with Crimestoppers and Nancy Hughes. And thank you for being with us today.
We appreciate you having us on and the opportunity to tell people about Crimestoppers.
Well, let's just jump right in. I know a lot of statistical data, but you know more. Let's define what Crimestoppers, most of us, either on television or the radio, are familiar with the Crimestoppers, and certainly on our highways. We see the emblem that's posted on so many of our roads here in town. But what is Crimestoppers here in Williamson County?
Well, we are a organization. We're a charitable nonprofit organization who work with the media, law enforcement, and especially the community to help keep our community in Williamson County safe.
Nancy, I know just before we went on air that you happened to be born, I don't know if you were born here, but you were raised here.
I was.
And tell us a little bit about yourself as we get into Crimestoppers. That means something near and dear to you because this is where you're born and you're raised. Tell us a little bit about Nancy Hughes.
I was born here. I've been here quite a while. I graduated from Franklin High School, and I have 3 children. They all live in the area too, so it's important to me to try to help keep Williamson County safe. I have 2 precious grandchildren, and plan on being here until the end.
And that kind of leads us into, it's probably a passion with you, to have a safe community, one that you're, not only your children, but as you and I both know, once you start having grandchildren, it kind of takes on a little bit different flavor. We get a smile on our face automatically when someone mentions grandbabies, and we want that. For our children and our grandchildren, and certainly our community. The objective of Crimestoppers in Williamson County is really about information, right?
Right.
What are we looking for when we're looking for information? Give me some examples.
Well, we know, usually somebody knows who commits a crime. We want those people to have another way to do their part. Sometimes people don't want to call in, or they don't want to call the information to law enforcement. We provide a way for them to call it in, get paid for it, and that's basically what we do. We want people to call in the tips to help our law enforcement. They are anonymous, and Crimestoppers has an average 96% conviction rate on crimes that are solved by tips to Crimestoppers.
Let's get the telephone number out there for everyone to see. They'll put it on the screen for us.
Good.
But the phone number for Crimestoppers is
615-794-4000.
We'll try to do that 2 or 3 times during the broadcast, but today's show is about trying to get the information out. Crimestoppers have been around since about mid-'80s, 1984.
Right.
Was when it actually started here in Williamson County, and I guess a lot of people might think that Crimestoppers is part of Williamson County Sheriff Department or the Franklin Police, Brentwood Police, but it's really not a part of. It's made up, as you said, volunteers.
Right. We are not a part of any law enforcement agency. They don't fund us. We don't get money from them. We strictly run off of donations from people and from small companies and grants. We're always trying to keep our funds flush because we like to pay the most money for the crimes that are called in.
Why would an individual or a small business want to give money? Mainly because to help us out?
Well, it helps us out, but it protects the law enforcement when they go to pick the suspects up. You know, they already know what the situation is before they get there. We save taxpayers money because law enforcement doesn't have to spend as much time solving that particular crime. So they know who to go pick up, they know the danger, and we help save taxpayers money through providing a way for the crimes to be solved faster.
Let's take a typical phone call. I call in, you're on the other end, may or may not be there. I know you have many people that answer the phone and et cetera, but when you dial this number, 794-4000, you're going to get an individual on the other end, and they're going to ask me who I am?
No, they don't care who you are. All they want is your information. It's going to be a real person answering the phone. You'll be given a number. You keep up with that number, because once the suspect is picked up, all you have to do is call back. I'm so-and-so number. I want my money. And that's what we do.
Some of the cases, I mean, when you think about over, since the mid 80s, 25, 30 years history and longer, there's been some crimes, famous or just petty theft, all along the way. And people help us when they call those numbers, when they call that number, 794-4000, 4000. When they call that number in, they're able to help us, as you indicated, help keep our law enforcement budgets down, not allowing our men and women to investigate, spend so much time. But it's usually a pretty solid lead.
It is a solid lead, and we enjoy that 96% conviction rate on tips that are called in. People know who did it, and we believe too, usually people know who did the crime. You just have to have a way for them to really want to let the proper people know. That's money, because money talks.
When you talk about Crimestoppers, is it made up of just the sheriff and the police chiefs and other elected officials? I don't think so.
No. We have nothing to do with sheriff's offices, Franklin Police Department, Fairview, we are not attached to any law enforcement agency, and that's what makes Crimestoppers works. They truly are anonymous. We're completely separate from any law enforcement agency. What we do is we take a tip and we make sure the proper law enforcement agency gets that tip.
Your board that's made up of the Crimestoppers, they're not paid.
Right, unpaid.
They're unpaid. Many of us serve on boards unpaid, but unpaid. But it's made up of mostly, I guess it's made up of all Williamson County folks.
Right. You do have to live in Williamson County to be on the board. You have to pass a background check to be on our board. And 100% of our board members also work with other charitable organizations. That's something we're real proud of. They give their expertise or their time or their money, but 100% of our board members do work with other charitable organizations in this county.
Nancy, let's say for an example you get a tip from, you have different Crimestoppers in different counties. I know Davidson County has one, and
right.
I know Murray County has one specifically because I have gotten familiar with those two agents as well as the one we have here in Williamson County. But let's say we get a tip, someone calls in, they dial the number, they've got a tip on a particular crime in Davidson County, which seems every day you wake up, you turn on the television, there's something going on in Davidson County. Thank goodness it's not that way here in Williamson County. There's plenty going on, but not like in the big city. So how do you share information between different agencies of Crimestoppers, or do you?
We do share information, but we don't share money. Each Crimestoppers is its own entity. Davidson County has their own money, their own board. Williamson County, Maury County, we all work separately, but we do share information. If we turned over a tip to Davidson County, they would pay the tip. They would pay the reward out to the person who called that tip in.
So if you're interested in giving money, giving of your time, being involved on this board, how do they make contact with you? Dial the same number, or
No.
call you? Don't call me, or what is it?
Well, what they would do is get that little envelope out. You write to Crimestoppers of Williamson County, Post Office Box 156, and again, that's Post Office Box 156, Franklin, Tennessee 37065. Now, their donation is tax deductible.
So you're a 501c. There's no reason someone can't give money. Write that off on the income tax to help to go to prevent those crimes here in town. Do you care to share maybe a few tips that we've got to help solve big cases?
Well, I can tell you tips that we would like to pay out on, and they would be tips such as meth use, meth manufacturing, synthetic drugs, which is on the rise, the making and manufacturing and selling those, the human trafficking, gang activity. One of the important crimes that we are proud to help with and turn people in on are, we work with SROs in schools. They are vital to the safety of the children of Williamson County. And we pay out tips to keep guns and drugs out of school. We're real happy to pay those tips, and we always try to pay the most we can when that SRO has said, wow, we've got a good tip here, you know. So we do work with them, and that's tips that we love to pay out on. Thefts, robberies, bank robberies, robberies with guns, vandalism. Sometimes you have a little rash of cars that are broken into, and they'll hit several. So it's aggravating to the owners of those cars, and if we can get that little group called in, and kind of help solve some of those crimes, that really helps keep activity from building and from them getting more and more what's the word I'm looking for?
Probably involved in our community.
Yeah, right. We help keep them out,
Well, one of the things that I think that you've kind of mentioned, there's really no crime, small or large, that you won't take a tip on.
Right. We're happy to pay on any crime called in.
And I think a lot of people, you made the comment earlier about some of the crime activities that occur in the Davidson County, in the bigger city. Sometimes there's a false sense of security here in Williamson County and our cities, all 6 of our cities and our county. As our community continues to grow, we're at 193,000 people now, where we still have that feel of a small town, but in reality we're a very large county that's growing at a rapid pace. We're the #1 fastest growing county in the state of Tennessee. So it's more important than ever to stay on top of these crimes, this activity. And a lot of people probably, you mentioned drug trafficking and meth labs and human trafficking, they probably don't realize they do occur in our county. We oftentimes want to sweep them under the rugs. That doesn't happen in my little community. I live here in Williamson County, and it's got 50 or 60 homes in it. We feel safe, but there's a lot of things we can do to help control crime activity too, locking our doors, locking our car doors, our house, keeping lights on. When women are walking in the parking lot, keep their purse close to their side.
Yes.
All of these things that we kind of have taken for granted being a small town, but we do have our activities.
We do, and Crimestoppers plays a big part, we believe, in helping curb the activities. We're like if there's a rash of robberies at some of the big box stores, credit card thefts on the rise. So we need to stop that in the beginning, you know, and then they're going to say, well, you know, I'm not going to go to that county. They're going to catch me, so I'm going to go somewhere else.
Well, it is important, and I think it's important also to remember that if someone calls in, just to reiterate, they're not going to call upon you to go to the court system and have to testify.
Not at all.
Not at all.
No.
Your phone call gives you your name will not be released. You're given a number. If the tip that you call in pans out, we have an arrest, and then you're going to get your money.
They will. They will get their money. They are anonymous. There's no caller ID, no recorder. A real person answers the phone. They take the information manually. There's at no time are they asked for their name. They're strictly a number, and they have information we want to pay for.
You've got all these pluses. Why we should do it. But why don't people call in?
Well, some people are afraid to call in. They're afraid of retaliation. Some people don't want to get mixed up in the court system. There's apathy. They just don't care. You know, what somebody does is fine with them. We have to give them a reason to come forward with the information they know. People think they get into the court system, they're going to have to testify. They'll have to take off from work. You do not. If you call that tip to Crimestoppers, you don't have to go to court. You don't have to go to the police station. You don't identify anybody. All you do is give us the information, and we'll take it from there.
I've got to ask, you can just see the passion in your eyes and as you talk. Why or how long have you been involved with Crimestoppers, and why such this passion for something in our community? Now, I know you mentioned children and grandchildren early on, but why the passion?
I think it's just the safety and living here all my life, and I just want to make sure it stays, you know, or help make sure it stays like I remember it. Now, I remember it. I didn't know anything about stuff going on, but I just want to help keep this county safe. It's important to everybody. You just want to do the right thing, and to me, that is taking a stand. You know, you can call a crime in. It's not going to hurt. Just pick up the phone, 615-794-4000. I love this county, and hopefully we help make Williamson County a better place.
We need people like you. Today we're focusing in on Crimestoppers, but there are many organizations out there that bring benefit to our community.
Right.
In a few days we'll be having the United Way.
Yes.
Around where you get your car tax, the administrative complex, and we're raising funds. Most of the employees, most of the people here give of their time, their monies. They make things, we'll sell them, we'll generate some money. Hopefully we'll raise a couple of $1,000 we can turn back over to the United Way. There are probably activities out there that Crimestoppers could be involved in that I'm overlooking that maybe help to raise some funds. I know the majority of your funds come from individuals.
Right.
Or come from businesses, but there are probably activities you have also to help raise funds.
We do. We try to get to the Main Street Festival. You know, we have a publicity group now within Crimestoppers. We're a small board, and so we're slowly progressing to where we have more people who can help physically. You know, you have to have the people to do it because you're a small board. Sometimes you can't go to every event you'd like. For instance, we would love to have a booth set up to help United Way. A lot of our board members already do, and they help other charities. But one of our goals is to get out more in the community. We have been at Touch a Truck before, but we do need to be more visible so people know that Williamson County does have a Crimestoppers.
I can think of several communities, and certainly along the way, where you've got your signs posted, you've got your number 794
4000.
Yeah, 4000. that's posted on different communities. Let's talk a little about that. Somebody's watching the show today. The show will penetrate lots of people, broadcast, and they say, well, maybe I want to do that for my community. Maybe I don't want to be part of this Williamson County Crime Shop, but what can I do for my little 50 homeowner community? Is there a way they can get engaged?
Yes, they can. They can, when they have July the 4th parades, call somebody with Crimestoppers, or call, I'll give another number they can call. We'd like to be with them during their parades or their homeowners associations. I know Crimestoppers is covered at homeowners association meetings, so that's a way that they could find out more about us. We would love to come speak to all the associations, let them know what we do and we need their help. And they can always send a donation too. If any subdivision needs signs that does not have them, we'll try to get it approved so that we can put some signs up in their neighborhoods.
Each community forms a link that bonds us all the way around the borders of our community. And those individuals that make up this 13-person board, it's kind of the governance board,
right,
that tries to get the message out, tries to solicit and secure donations so that we can pay for the tips, because as you said, money does talk. But I think really it gives the taxpayer, the citizens, another avenue of feeling safe and secure in their own community, in their own home. There is nothing in this world that you feel violated any more than when someone has broken into your home.
Yes, you do. It's just, they rip a part of your heart out. You don't know why. They took a TV. You can go buy another TV, but the very fact that they get in and they do it, and maybe you should have kept your door locked and you're just kicking yourself because something like that happens. If somebody knows who does that and they call it in, maybe that person gets, fined, he gets put in jail for a while, or he won't come back to this county, hopefully.
Well, I just think it's so important for all of us to be more vigilant, but certainly being more cognitive of the fact of just jumping in our car when we go to work in the morning and go to work and then come home and think that everything is okay because the sheriff's department or the police department in individual cities are doing their job. There's really more to it than that, and we all know that. We love this county. This is a great place to raise your family, go to school. More and more people work here. We can play here. We can worship here. We can do the things that our community, what you have done in an entire lifetime, and throw your shoulders back. But your evidence is that you need to stay involved to continue to provide this. Number one, we're not paying you. We're not paying those Crimestoppers. We're paying the people that call in those tips.
Yes.
And that helps us just to have a better community.
It does. And
we've got about 4 minutes left in our show, and I'm sure that I have overlooked something that you wanted to talk about. You did a wonderful job of preparing kind of a text for me to follow this morning, but I do have a tendency to kind of jump around. Have I overlooked anything that you personally want to get the message out to?
Well, one thing, you've covered everything, but I'd like to, again, talk about how much we save taxpayers because the crimes solve faster. We're saving money. There's not as much manpower spent on that crime. Our law enforcement can then move on to something else. Aside from that, the safety of the officers knowing when they go to arrest a suspect, they already know, is this a dangerous situation? Are we just going to pick so-and-so up, they already know the safety and the danger that's involved in that crime. It's important to know that we have a 96% conviction rate on crimes that are called in to Crimestoppers. We always need money. That's
I don't think that changes in what organization,
no,
in any
it
organization.
doesn't. But we just help, we believe, to help Williamson County be such a thriving community. Companies want to move here, large and small. They bring their people who move here, but they also hire local people. Then it trickles down. Other companies, they will hire part-time workers, or they'll hire teenagers. Well, they're going to be spending their money in Williamson County. So Crimestoppers is very important all around. We like to believe, like every organization does, but we like to think that we are a big help in thwarting crime in Williamson County.
And you are.
We are.
And in about a few short weeks, we're going to be entering the holiday season, and we're going to be entering that period of time where we let our guard down a little bit.
Right.
We go to the main street here in Franklin or Brentwood or Fairview or any of our cities, Spring Hill. We go to the big box stores, and sometimes we bring those gifts, put them in our car. We don't secure them. We don't lock the doors. We're storing those gifts at home. We're not locking our doors. And that invites activity from unscrupulous individuals. And we really do encourage all of you to protect yourself, protect the inventory that you have, whether it's your furniture or whether it's your goods. But when things get a little haywire, there is an organization, Crimestoppers, that has invested time and energy to try to make this a better and a safer place to live and work and play and go to school.
794-4000. That's area code 615-794-4000. If you have a tip, if you know somebody that committed a crime, large or small, we want that information.
Nancy Hughes has been our guest this morning and today, and we thank her for being here. Thank you for your volunteerism that we have here in Williamson County, and to all of those board members that participate. And to all of you that feel a little shy, join us. Be part of Crimestoppers, but above all, be a concerned citizen. Thank you. I'm Rogers Anderson. Thank you, Nancy, for being with us.
Thank you.
We'll
for
see you
having
around
us.
the county the next time.
I am for the child who's had 7 addresses in a single year because she's in foster care, because her father abused her, and her mother couldn't believe her. She is the child I am for. I am a CASA volunteer. I am you.